Good morning everybody, and welcome to, well, what can be described as a very damp, very wet Djuma Game Reserve. It has rained non-stop since yesterday afternoon. I don't think there has been a break the entire night, and so it is incredibly wet out here, and hopefully it's not going to be too wet for much longer. Hopefully it'll dry out a little bit during the course of the morning. Now, my name is Tristan. On camera today I've got Wiem. There we go. Thumb up. So Wiem and I are going to try and see if we can find ourselves something to look at, because we're not really sure what's going on. What we'll do is we'll do kind of a tour around all the dams, see how all of our dams have filled up during the course of the night. It should have filled up a lot given the amount of rain that we've had, so we'll do that. We'll try and follow up on Tundi as well and see how that's going to go. There's also going to be Byron and Ali in the tent, which should be shenanigans, I'm sure. The two of them are also a laugh together, so that should be quite fun. And it's obviously going to be interactive, all of it, so you'll be able to ask lots of questions and participate in the shenanigans, and you can do that on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or on the YouTube chat. So that's the plan for the morning. Let's see how we go. It's still raining, it's still wet, so we thought because it's still raining and still wet, a lot of the roads are closed. No off-roading as well, unfortunately, for the morning because of the amount of rain that has fallen. So we have a situation where hopefully we're going to be lucky and find something on the road, because otherwise it's going to be really tough to be able to see what we're doing. We do the snow off-roading sometimes because of, you know, when the rain falls, everything gets quite soft, and then you leave these massive ruts all over the place and you damage the top sort of layer of the soil, and so we try and stay off it. There might be a few places on some of the crests where we could potentially do it, but definitely towards drainage lines and on the sort of more black cotton type soils, we're definitely not going to be able to do much of that. And like I say, some of the roads unfortunately are also going to be down, so we'll just have to try and kind of weave our way through all of those roads that are closed. The good news is that there seems to be a bit of light coming through from the eastern side, which means that hopefully the sun's going to come out. The rain seems to be slowly but surely kind of easing up. It doesn't seem as though it's falling nearly as heavily as it did last night. Last night it really came down, and like I say, through the course of the night it just kept raining all the way. It hasn't stopped at all, so there is still a bit falling, but it's not nearly as serious as it was yesterday, and so hopefully it will stop fairly shortly and we'll have a nice dry morning, and then one of Ali or Byron in the tent will come out and join me out here to see what we can find. But for now it's a blank canvas. We're the only vehicle that is on Djuma or anywhere in this sort of Djuma, Buffelshoek, Torchwood area, and so it's going to be interesting to see whether we find some things. So, Angel Girl, you wondering if I drew the short straw to be out in the rain? So no, I didn't draw the short straw. It was voluntary, and the reason why is because Ali braved out the rain last night, so she was the one that stayed out while the two boys messed around in the tent. What was that just flew there? There's some sort of bird that was flying with much difficulty is probably the best way to describe it. It was landed somewhere in that knobthorn, but I don't know where it's gone. But oh, there it is. It's just hopping about in there. Can't actually see what it is. We've just got the spotlight, so it's difficult to make out exactly what it is. Maybe it looks like a female redback strike. But so Ali did she really kind of toughed it out last night. Byron was actually scheduled to be on walk or tent this morning, so we just kept that, and he also got very, very wet yesterday afternoon, as we all did, but it was just how it worked out, and it's okay to be out and about. Like I say, it's not raining too hard now. It was raining much harder when we first got down to work, and it actually seems like it's easing off quite nicely. So if the sun does break through those clouds, it's going to be a magnificently beautiful morning, because everything is going to be clean and fresh, and it's going to be very pretty. Now there's some vultures up here, but I don't know if we're going to get these on camera, are we, Vildi? If we reverse, you reckon? Okay. Problem is I've got a tree that might be in the way, so I'll try and go as far as I can. Can you get those, Vildi, or not? So a little bit. There you can see the bottom of a vulture. Unfortunately our roof is in the way, and then if I go any further the terminalia gets in the way. So best visuals of a vulture I'm sure you've ever seen. But yes, the two whiteback vultures sitting in the tree getting themselves nice and wet, and they're going to be down for probably most of the day. I don't think they're going to be flying too far. They're going to be trying to dry themselves out. Wouldn't be surprised if the sun comes out, we come past here, both of them are sitting with their wings out, just trying to dry everything. Now, oh, hang on a second. You know what is going to happen today? Is going to be bullfrog day. So there should be bullfrogs here. There's one there. So we should get lots of bullfrogs out and about. So there's one of our African bullfrogs. And last time we had rain like this, we had wrestling bullfrogs. And Jamie did a whole segment on the WWE wrestling tournament that was going on here on Djuma with the frogs. And so I wonder if we're going to have that action this morning, or if it's going to maybe be this evening when these guys really start to kind of mate and go a bit crazy. But there certainly should be a few of these around, which is really very cool to see. So I'm sure lots of bullfrogs will be about, and maybe some other frogs too. It's going to be the best thing because we're going to hear all the frogs this evening. It's going to be wonderful to be in a vehicle this evening and driving around. Right, like I said, I'm not the only one out here. The two, I wanted to say clowns, but they're not clowns. They are just fun people, are sitting in the tent, and well, they're ready to entertain you. So let's send you across so they can say good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the tent. My name is Byron, and
I'm Ali. And on camera today with us is the unfortunate Ferg.
So I think we've got quite an interesting tent planned for you today. I think we're going to try and have some fun, giving the weather conditions. It's been wonderful.
We'll survive.
Yeah, it's been wonderful rain, and it's always very welcome. But speaking of welcome, we need to welcome Ellie to the tent. First time to the tent, Ellie?
I don't know how I managed to survive so long without her coming into the tent.
That's awesome. So there are a number of ground rules. I don't know if James has emailed them to you. But,
not yet, but you can tell me all about them.
We'll go through the show and we'll give Ellie the ground rules. James's tent ground rules.
Don't touch my stuff.
Exactly. Don't touch James's stuff. So, I think what we've decided to try and do this morning is have a bit of fun in the tent.
Yes.
And now, I don't know, I think I'm at a bit of a disadvantage here because Alan.
Who's Alan?
It's far too early. Ellie's South American roots might help her with this. So what we're going to do is we would like our viewers to send us the name, a random name of an animal we get here in Djuma. I think let's make it a bit easier.
Yeah.
So an animal we get here on Djuma, and we need to come up with the scientific name.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
You were missing the important part.
Yes. No. We need to come up with the scientific name, and then the competition is we need to write it down and see who can spell it correctly. We will try and find a bunch of insects around during the morning while we can, but that is going to be our main aim for today. And then later we're going to change it around, and you give us the scientific name, and we need to see if we can guess the name of the animal.
I think it might not be that bad because the scientific names are going to be pronounced in English.
Yeah.
So that's where the tricky part is going to come for me.
So it could be interesting. So don't forget, hashtag Safari Live. Send us your words, your animal names. and then we shall try our best. We have pen.
Try and write them down.
And we have paper.
Team green.
All right, so our first one is from FC, and it is?
Elephant.
Sorry,
okay. I didn't know if you were asking.
Do you know the scientific name of the elephant?
I do. Do you?
Of course I do. Go ahead, Ellie. Go ahead.
Do I need to say it or do I need to write it in the first round?
Well, you say it, and then we need to write it.
Loxodonta africana, as you would say it with the English accent, I believe.
Exactly.
Was that good enough?
That was very, very good.
Thank you,
would you
Byron.
like a book to press on?
That would be wonderful. I will
I
take very good care of your book.
Please look after my books.
I will. Just going to use the back.
Okay. Please do not copy me. Let's see if we can get our first one right.
All right. 1, 2, 3, go.
Okay.
I want to see Byron first. Are you copying me? Oh, we have the same.
Did we
Yay!
have the same? Let's see. Is that? Can you get that, Ferg? Sorry. Loxodont africana. Exactly the same. 1 point each.
Yes, well done.
Well done.
We might
All
survive.
right. So that's the idea of the game this morning. We're going to try to do that for a little bit. Have a bit of fun with it. I'm sure we're going to be laughing a lot at our spelling. Please excuse the handwriting.
For both of us.
For both of us. But I believe it's a sign of intelligence.
I like that, yeah.
Well, that's what I...
Messy writers are more intelligent.
Bad handwriting is apparently a sign of intelligence. Anyway, let's go back across to brave Tristan, who's out in the rain. He's probably going to have to stick to one road because it's so wet. But let's see what his plan is for the morning.
Well, Byron, I tell you what, being out here is actually not that bad. Look at the color that we've got this morning. It is amazing. The sun is kind of being filtered through the clouds, and it is this orange, weird hue that's being cast on everything. So there's not something wrong with the camera. It's not in sepia or anything like that. It's just literally the sun is creating this insane orange color. And what is that in the road there? It looks like a lion or a leopard that's just crossed the road. Hold on, I think so. Or a waterbuck, one of the three. You vote waterbuck, Vildy. I think you might be right, but let's just double check because you never know. It kind of had a liony strut to it, but waterbuck do have that liony strut, and in this dim light, it could very well be a waterbuck. Here's your favorite emerald spotted wood dove, Viam. Viam, have you made friends now, Viam? Viam had a war with an emerald spotted wood dove at camp, and apparently they've now made friends. So let's see how that goes. Now, Viam. Definitely not leopard, I don't think, but if it could be I think waterbuck is correct, Liam. Where did it go? I don't know where it went. It must have crossed somewhere here. Are these tracks here? Here's tracks. Yes, a waterbuck. Well done, Viam. That's well done. But the light is insane. It just looks weird because... You know, it looks as though there's something going on with the camera, but it was a waterbuck. I can see its tracks bounding off into the long grass, so not a lion. But that's okay. We'll hopefully find something somewhere. I wanted to see something like a lion or a leopard or anything actually in this light. It's just so ridiculous that it would be just cool to see something and see how weird it looks and funky. Maybe Janet Jackson actually. Janet Jackson's right here. Colbert, you say I broke the sun, you want your money back. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to break the sun. But anyway, you know, at least it's something different. I feel like actually I'm enhancing the experience. I'm giving you something that is different, which should be rarer and therefore more expensive. What do you think, Kirst? Do I have to pay back the money, or do I get to repin more? Exactly, I also think I deserve the money. I think it's a rare occurrence. I think we do deserve money, that's for sure. Oh, no tail today. I was hoping that Janet Jackson would be home in this cool light, but Janet Jackson seems not to be there. And the problem with this is that if I go towards the hole, VM's going to have the view of the side of our roof and very little else. And so I can try and see if I can maybe do a little kind of maneuvering here just to get a little bit more of an angle. Can we? No. Hold on, VM. Let me just use I'm gonna have to use a spotlight because it's still so dark. No, nothing in there. Nothing in there. So no Janet Jackson this morning. It's all quiet on the Janet Jackson home front. Right. Now, I'm going to carry on down towards Twin Dams and towards where Thandi was yesterday. And while I do that, I believe I must send you across to the Game Masters, which I'm pretty sure are more like ringmasters in a circus. But anyway, let's see what they're up to.
Ringmasters in a circus. How dare he?
That's very rude, Tristan. It's very rude. We did step out to appreciate this wonderful light that Tristan also had. It seems to have disappeared slightly now behind us, so it didn't work out quite as well as we thought it would. But it is still a bit of color, that bit of
getting there.
Orangey, yellow.
What else have you got?
orangey yellow color in the sky.
Citrusy.
Yeah, very beautiful. The rain seems to have subsided slightly, still drizzling a little bit.
Depends where you look at, though, because that's very pretty, but the fact that it's going away might be an indication of what's about to come our way, which is not that pretty still. So
there seems to be a little rainbow over there. Can you see it, Fergs? Are we able to get that? Slightly, a very slight rainbow over there, but it is still very cloudy behind us. So we are going to return back to the tent.
All right, we've got the first word. Whew.
Oh no.
I think I know half of it only. Where's my little paper? There we go.
There we go. So our next name that has been sent to us was by, did you catch the
No,
sentence?
sorry, I didn't.
Alpine wolf, bro.
Girl.
Sorry.
You hungry?
Sorry, I didn't hear that correctly. Thanks, Kirst. And that the word that was sent to us is African wildcat.
I got the first word.
African wildcat. I don't know what African wildcat is, a scientific name actually. Feline? Felidae? It's part of the Felidae family, but...
No, I only got the first word is Feliz.
Oh, okay.
But the second part, I can't remember it. The clue from Cursed is that it is a Looney Tunes character's name.
Cat's name. Yeah, cat's name in Looney Tunes.
You see, this is where the English comes against me.
Felis.
Felix?
Felix. Yeah, I wonder. Is that right? Sylvester.
Okay.
Oh dear.
So close.
Felis sylvestris. Okay.
A third word. Then I'm going to add Sylvestris in it.
Third word.
Sylvestris. Maybe it's a
Is that
subspecies.
Sylvestris, probably subspecies,
Yeah.
I would say. Okay.
Sylvestris.
I think you should throw the character over.
I feel like if it's
I'm
a drawing
running out of
competition,
space,
I'm
so
going
what
to
I've done
lose.
is I've done Felis sylvestris squared. All right, so Felis sylvestris. How did you spell it?
I spelled it with an I. I don't even know.
Sylvest. Did Ellie get it right?
Yes. B?
I'll tell you what we're going to do. Let's have a look at it so we can. Sorry, we're
That is
struggling to hear
probably
Kirst a little
with
bit.
the
African
spelling.
wildcat.
Maybe it's SY?
Let's just have a look here. African wolf, no. Wild
No,
dog.
not quite.
Why is there no wild cat? Maybe it's under cat.
Don't I have the other mammals book?
Sorry, I want to make sure.
Yeah, it's not, well, while you look, let us tell you a little bit about the African wildcats. We don't see them here all that often, although we are pretty sure that they live here in Djuma. I actually went tracking with Herbie the one time, and we came across their tracks right in the far eastern corner, actually not too far from Chitwa and Buffelshoek boundary, just in that little corner there. And it seemed that it had eaten a little scrub here. Now, we do know that they are around, but because they are small-ish cats, they are bigger than a house cat. The grass all around us, especially during the summertime, just hides them very well. And also they go on trees quite a bit, so they're very tough to see. I think perhaps places like the Kalahari Desert are a lot easier to see them. That's where I've seen them. I don't know, what about you?
100% right. I was the last African wildcat sighting I had was in the Kalahari. An interesting one because we get meerkats in the Kalahari, which we don't get in this area. And these meerkats run around and forage during the day. And we watched a family and they ran to a bush and they all seemed very alarmed. And we thought it might be a snake because they do tend to mob snakes. And it was an African wildcat with her kitten hidden in a bush. And these meerkats actually mobbed and chased them away, which I thought was fascinating because wildcats, I know, will sometimes hunt meerkats.
Yeah.
But this family of meerkat managed to chase the wildcats away.
Well done.
Was
How
amazing.
big was the kitten? Was it tiny?
The
or?
kitten was quite small. The kitten was about this big. Now, the African wildcat is only about this
Yeah.
big, but they got long legs. They've
Yeah.
got fairly long legs compared to a
a
house
normal
cat, but
house
the kitten
cat.
was only about that big.
Maybe that's the reason why it was protecting the little one. And
Maybe. I
meerkat
think
can
so.
be fierce.
Yeah.
If all those screaming things come running at you, I would run away.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. They are quite ferocious. So I have the African wildcat in front of me, and it is Felis sylvestris. That is it. So Silvestris. There we go. We got that. There we go. Felis sylvestris. Did you get it right? Did you get it wrong?
Libica. I got half of it right. Just the subs.
I think,
Libica group?
No, you got it right. Libica group. Ali got a point. Ali is one ahead. And that is the beautiful African wildcat.
Stunning creature.
Yeah, I haven't seen in this area before. But in the Timbavati I have seen.
Have you?
So maybe drier conditions. They prefer
Yeah.
drier conditions. Anyway, well done, Ali.
Thank you. I only got half of it right, so
I'm not upset at all. But let's go back to Tristan and see what he's doing.
Well, Byron, don't be upset. It's just how it goes. Ali did study Latin, so you're in for a bit of trouble there. Now, we are sitting down at Twin Dams, and the reason I'm sitting here is because there is an absolute cacophony of frog sounds, and so it is amazing. So I'm going to stop talking for a little bit, and just so you can hear what's going on, and then I'll tell you exactly which frogs are calling, but it is amazing. Right, so we currently have 5 different frog species that are busy calling here at the moment. So I'm going to go through each one and show you exactly which ones there are. So we'll start with... I'm just trying to find the first one. This is the one that's the loudest that you are hearing. That whirring sound is the banded rubber frog. It's a pretty funky looking fella, and that's because it displays aposematic coloration because it is toxic. So it secretes a fluid that is toxic and is not very good for you. So I'll play its call so you can just isolate each call and you'll know which one is which. So that's the whirring sound that we were hearing. Right, so that's the banded rubber. The next one that we've got in this area is an ornate frog. So they're quite pretty little things, actually. Tough to see them, though. I find that they're very difficult to actually locate, but very cool little frogs, and they have a very cool call as well. They're further down. It sounds like they're in Little Gowrie at Baboon Pan, but they've got this sound. So that's the ornate frog. Then we've got the... who have we got next? We've got African bullfrog next. So they're the low ones that are in the sort of providing the base for this ensemble. And the last one we have is a tremolo sand frog, which goes along the lines of this. So that's what the tremolo sand frog looks like. He's got a bit of a stumpy face, doesn't he? And almost little dermal dots, much like what you see on a toad, but they are part of the frog. So it's a... It looks like Hosanna. No, Hosanna is much prettier than that for you. So that's the tremolo sand frog that we've also got out this morning, which is making the higher clicked sounds. So 5 different species of frog all in one place. It's absolutely phenomenal to hear them. Caesar, you want to know if we all eat frog legs in South Africa? Only on Tuesdays. So Tuesdays is frog leg day, and you've got to pay attention for the specials that come out. Often you go to restaurants and you can get a really good leg on a Wednesday, but mostly on Tuesdays. We find that they're much fresher on a Tuesday. They like to go harvesting on a Monday before, you know, before the sort of pans dry up and those kind of things. So Tuesday is frog leg day, and they do all kinds of different styles of frog legs. They do deep fried with sour cream is one of them. Yep, that's definitely a firm favorite for many a South African. There's also a grilled with sweet chili and cream cheese. Yes, and if you're being very naughty and you are not you are, you know, wanting to spoil yourself, then you'll sometimes take your Valentine for a bit of chocolate dipped frog's eggs. Kirsty, do you like chocolate dipped frog's legs, not eggs, legs with the frog's eggs on top? Love them. Yes, caramel frog legs as well. Yes, they are a treat, aren't they? Just like caramel treat is. Anyway, so no, we don't actually eat frog legs. Yeah, I mean the whole frog is eaten by some cultures, particularly bulls. And in fact, they are caught using a certain type of tree, which I'll try and find for you and show you exactly what I'm talking about. So they do use a certain type of tree to catch them, and bullfrogs are eaten, the whole bullfrog though, not just the legs, and those are those big giant bullfrogs, not the African bullfrog like we have here, although the African bullfrog is also fed upon in this area, so you know it can be eaten, but generally South Africans don't really eat frog legs. It's not a huge part. That's left to our northern hemisphere counterparts in a little country called France. Right, I'm going to carry on, see if I can find any sign of Tundi. She apparently was in this area yesterday. Tingana was also in this area. Oh, there's a frog that's busy calling on my phone. So we'll have to stop that. Enough knocking, sand frog. We don't need you. Anyway, while I kind of think about it, I'm going to send you back across to the mischief that is the tent this morning.
I'm a bit offended by he's called us a circus, he's called us a mischief.
Oh, no. Can you not hear Ali? Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Oh, dear, Ali.
What's happening to me?
Okay, well, yeah, Ali was she's upset with Tristan calling us mischievous in the tent. But I loved hearing those frogs. That was fascinating. Wonderful different frogs there. We can hear the banded rubber frogs all around us at the moment. They are calling. There's a cacophony of banded rubber frogs. So a lot of big words for the morning. I apologize. I don't know what happened.
Just throw in some Latin in there and then we're sorted for the day. Our brains will be finished.
Oh, blackback jackal is our next Latin word from Djuma. Blackback jackal.
I got nothing. Oh, yeah. I got one word.
Oh no, I don't know. I don't know what.
I'm just throwing in family names now. It's going to be one of those obvious ones that we hear, we're going to be like, how could we not remember this one?
I cannot remember blackback jackal, a scientific name. See, we don't use scientific names of animals, and it's bad. We forget.
It's terrible. I think we tend to use them more for plants, just because there seems to be a lot more variation amongst plants. So if you call this thing a bush willow, then it can be many of them. But then if you give more specific scientific name, then it can only be one. I suppose it's the same with animals. There's just not such custom of using.
Yeah, I think there's often within South Africa too, with our many different languages, a certain tree, for example, may be called or may have 4 different common names. But that's where the scientific name is very important. So we can always tell our guests it is called a Combretum imberba, which is a leadwood. There's no other word for it. Okay, what is the Latin word?
I've only got canis. Is that it?
Mesomelis. Is that what Kirst said? Canis mesomelis. Oh dear.
Okay, that was definitely not something I expected. I want to lie and pretend that I knew the second part, but I think it's just I didn't really. Right, I am ready. These markers also, they don't hide it if we make mistakes, hey? They're very bright.
All right, let's see. Canis mesomelis.
I think you probably got it wrong. Right, sorry.
I think you spelled it the same.
No. Whew, that was just luck.
With an A. I can't believe it.
It was a dream. I thought you would have gotten it right with the U.
Yeah. Well
This was
done,
just
Ellie.
luck. Just luck. This one I can't claim really.
Mesomelas. Blackback jackal. African
Yeah.
blackback jackal.
I feel like
But,
we're never going to forget this one after this.
yeah,
It's a good
but-
learning curve.
This is quite fun, testing our own knowledge and trying to spell these Latin words, which is very difficult. And also the thing with the Latin words, everybody's got their own pronunciation.
Yeah, that's...
So it does vary, and that could also confuse you quite a bit.
Well,
but
I
please
struggled.
send some more in. We'll see what we can do. It's now starting to rain again. I can hear it raining a little bit harder now.
Yeah.
So we may just stay here for a while in the tent. It's nice and cozy and comfy.
Less
I have
wet.
got
Yeah.
coffee for later. I packed a thermos and I brought coffee for us for later.
You might be my favorite person in the whole world right now.
Ellie loves her coffee. Now
do love
I'm
the coffee.
hoping that Tristan has some luck with that female leopard Tundi this morning. We saw
Yeah.
her very close to the southern boundary going into Gowrie, but I don't know if she crossed. We didn't see her actually cross, so she may still be
Hopefully.
down in that area.
And if there's someone that's going to try and find her, it'll be Tristan.
Yeah, so let's go and see where Tristan is and how his search is going.
Eh? Sorry. So we don't have any comms at the moment. Well, I don't know why, because actually I know why. I forgot to plug myself back in after fixing the roof. That's why. Sorry about that, Kirst. Anyway, we are still on the southern boundary, just kind of cruising along, making sure we look out for any signs of Tundi. She was heading in this kind of direction yesterday, so we're just kind of having a little look around and seeing if there is anything around here. Tracking wise though, it's all but sort of, I don't know what the word is, it's all, there's really not much point in the tracking just yet. Hopefully after the rain, now that it's stopping, these animals will start coming out and start moving, but there's really no sort of tracks that are going to be visible after the amount of rain that we had, unless an animal walked in the last half an hour, 45 minutes. So that's both a blessing and a curse. The curse is that it's going to be very difficult to find some of these animals who might have walked and then laid down early in the evening. But there's also going to be a good thing, is that if any animal walks now, we are going to be able to see their tracks fairly quickly. So we're going to try and kind of, hopefully pick up something and see if maybe Tundi is just with little cubs somewhere. I want to check this old hyena den just in case she's decided to use that little hole as a good place to sit. If I was a leopard, I think I would go into that little hole. Although James says it smells very bad, so maybe that's why they don't go in there. But let's check and see. 'Cause I believe she was not far from here yesterday. Is there something in there? There's a warthog in there, I think. Is it a warthog? Yes, it is a warthog. So there is a big warthog that is there instead. Hello, warthog. Now, we see this warthog here. Now, Chris, just repeat that quickly, because him the thing said the same thing over you, but I didn't hear what you said. It does look cozy, doesn't it? It looks as though it's very happy with life. And I tell you what, if it was raining, like I said, I would also be inside there looking very happy. And I think we've seen this warthog, very same warthog, in here a few times. It seems to enjoy being inside there. It's a good place. It's sheltered. It's quite thick here, so difficult to spot that warthog inside there. Although if a male leopard came, this warthog might be in a bit of trouble. But very cool to see. It's the same warthog that hangs around at the little pan on the boundary of Chitwa, and we see it there wallowing quite often and drinking. Often heads in this direction. You can actually see how much mud is all over its tusks, but that looks like one dozy, happy warthog. I suppose it is a rainy day, so bed weather for sure, and the perfect place for a warthog to have a little rest. You can see a few drops of rain still falling. It's not much, but there is a few still coming down. Very cool to see though. Very, very cool. Nice. Well, it's not Tundi, but it was still a nice surprise. So we're going to carry on, see if we can find Tundi. I believe this is where VM and Byron lost her, was in this drainage section, which I can't say I blame them, given that it was pouring with rain, a roof, and even if you have none of that and sunshine and dry sort of desolate weather, you're still going to struggle to follow a leopard through this. So I think they did a sterling effort to be able to get themselves as far as they did, given the conditions that they were working in. So hopefully she comes out somewhere here. Right, now I'm going to carry on going up on Cheetah Cutline. While I do that though, I'm going to send you back across to the tent, but I believe that there is a guest appearance lurking for all of you inside.
We do. We have a guest appearance, the little flower mantis that just decided to join us. Now it's a little bit shy, so it's almost hiding behind its very, very long hands.
Beautiful.
No, I'm just joking. I'm just going to try and stop moving. Sorry, that was me, Ferg. Just want to try and not move because it was jumping around earlier on, so eventually did decide to stand still on my fingers. We don't get to see them all that often. At least I think this is only the second one that I've seen in the last while.
This is amazing. It's really, really beautiful.
Just as well, you can imagine, being of this color and with all this little spikelets, it allows it to hide a lot better in the environment. So amongst the leaves and the grasses, it's pretty much impossible to see it. But I think now that the rain has been falling down and that everything's a little bit cleaner, then we're able to pick up movements a little bit easier. Now, my hand is almost like freestanding, so that's why it's shaking a bit. It's not because of the weight of the tiny little mantis. I think I'm going to try and put it back on its leaf. See if it'll go in there.
I think it's called an eye flower mantid. Eyed flower. Can you see that? I think that's the closest I can see.
I think you're probably right.
That little beautiful one over there.
It's got a bit too much pink for this one. I feel like this one's just mostly green.
Maybe this is a male.
I'm sorry. I am sorry, Byron. You clearly had it coming all along. All right, little one, do you want to go back onto your leaf? No?
He seems to like you.
Maybe it is a male. Okay. No.
There he goes.
Maybe it was a girl. Running away from Byron.
That's not very nice. Let's continue with our fun with Latin. All right, so now what we're going to do is Kirsty's going to give us a Latin name, and we need to find or guess what animal it is. So this one's from Lunar Moon. All right, go Kirst.
We're ready. Oh, but isn't that a family name? But no, I think I know which one, but I think it's...
Oh dear, I've got no clue. I've got no clue. Folidota. So the word was Folidota, is that correct?
Yeah, we don't want you to see it.
Oh, I can't see. Oh no. Okay, wait, give me 2 seconds. Folidota.
Let's see.
Folidota.
I'm going by a hunch here. I'm not too sure.
Completely wrong.
I think pangolin.
Oh, that's odd for.
I don't know if. Well, I think, but I thought Folidota was the name of the family.
I don't know. Let's have a look quickly.
I try to get a little bit creative there. So it's an eye.
So Folidota, we were looking for it yesterday, and I know you said you were trying to find one in the rain. I said exactly the same thing. I was saying to Wiem that after rain like this, usually these animals are quite active because the termites and that are a lot more active. So
there's one right here. You see, this is what they're going to come and eat. We're full of insects right now. So unfortunately, this one died yesterday, but this would be a very prized thing, I think, both for aardvarks and pangolins to come and eat. So this would be quite great for the both of them.
So the Folidota is the order of pangolin.
Okay.
So not genus or species. The genus and species names are the Temminck's ground pangolin, which is the one we see. And that is Smutsia temminckii. Smutsia temminckii. Smutsia temminckii. That's a scientific. I'll show you how we. So
can I tell you how a Latin person would pronounce it?
How would you?
Smutsia temminckii.
Smutsia temminckii.
But there's no way of knowing if you're right or if I'm right.
Yeah,
I feel like we can come up with our own language.
Taminki. There are two eyes. Taminki eye. Aye. Anyway, so order is a foley dota. No wonder I don't know it.
No, we don't see them ever. Seems like Tristan is still searching for Thandi. I wonder if he's gone all the way to Chitwa now or if he's still checking on the boundary. Probably one of the few roads that he can drive at the moment with all the rain. And while I'm being attacked by flying things, let's head back to him.
Well, indeed. So we are still on our side. We're just checking now Leadwood, and we'll do Mamba, Batalia, Central. Try and just check around just to see if she's maybe not come back towards where the last sort of known sighting of the cub was. So we're just kind of doing little loops and just slowly driving around and checking. Now, I believe there was, for those of you that remember our two cheetah brothers, they were seen this morning apparently going into Torchwood, which is quite nice. So apparently both looking healthy and happy, which is good news. It's always nice just to catch up with old kind of characters that we haven't seen for a while. Shayna, you're wondering if the animal's scent is stronger when they are wet from the rain. So, no, not really. I mean, I suppose some of them smell like damp animal, so almost like wet dog in a way. That does happen from time to time. I mean, not really, no. I don't find that they smell more. In fact, I find that it's harder to smell things when it rains because the rain kind of deadens their scent and makes it a lot harder to kind of actually pick them up. And particularly things like leopard urine. So when they spray, now when it rains, it just washes all that away and you don't get that popcorn smell that you would normally get. Now the bird that was sitting in the tree there is a Batalia eagle. So there was two of them actually, the other one flew away. But this is the pair that hangs around between Leadwood and Mamba. They've got a nest on the northern side of Leadwood, but it's very far into the bush and quite obscured. But they do have a nest, and you can see that poor bird looks quite bedraggled. Those feathers are absolutely soaked. Its little crown is not looking as spiffy as it normally does. Certainly doesn't have the big round fluffy head that they have when it's nice and dry. And even the white feathers look kind of drowned in the black. It doesn't really look like a happy bird, does it? Poor thing. It must have been properly wet, and so it will be waiting for this rain to stop, and then it hopefully will dry out and be able to start flying and looking for food. It must have been a tough sort of last 24 hours for a lot of our birds, given the amount of water that has fallen. And I would imagine that a number of little baby birds, little chicks in nests, will have died unfortunately during all of this because they suffer from cold quite quickly and exposure, and so they just unfortunately keel over and die, which is not very nice at all. Right, come on Thandi, out you come. Don't be shy. Just checking all the big pathways and game paths as well. Tracks are very few and far between at the moment. Green quality, wondering how long Thandi would leave the cub alone in weather like this. I think as long as it takes her to find food. Sometimes she'll leave a cub for 24 hours, maybe even as much as 48. But Thandi is an interesting one. She seldom seems to be that far away from that cub. She seems to do all her hunting very localized to where the cub is, so she doesn't really kind of move around too much. She finds a place and she stores that cub, and then she makes do with where the cub is by just hunting in that particular zone, and she normally finds what she's looking for. So I don't think she will go too far. I wouldn't be surprised if she actually is back with the cub now and the two of them are together in this horrible kind of cold wet weather. No, that's an impala track. So I'm looking very carefully to try and see if I can see those little digits on the road, because if we find those, then we are going to have gold, because if they're on top of the rain, then we know that she won't be very far away. What are you doing here? It's a zebra. That's very odd. Hello, zebras. Why are you here all the way down in these thickets? It's a strange place to find two zebras. I think these are the two zebras that we've been seeing on quarantine a bit, and now you're running away. What did we say? Probably a little bit nervous, given that they are in an area that is not ideal for zebras. It's very dense in there, and lions, I think, would love to come across those two zebras in a thicket like that, because perfect place to hunt them. Right. Maybe it's because they came across Tundi and they're a little nervous, and Tundi's going to be lying on this termite mound up in front. Right, now I'm going to carry on, see what else I can find, and while I do that, let's send you back across to the duo and watch them suffer as they deal with Latin and the animal names.
Well, I'm suffering. Ellie's not suffering at all, Tristan. I'm the one suffering. All right, so we go straight into the next one. Let's see what
Bring it on, Kirst, we're ready. Okay.
Mellivora patensis.
Okay, I think I know which one this is.
I think this is one that I do know because it is one of my favorite animals.
Yes!
So I think I know that. Is that correct?
Yes!
And now,
Latin
for an extra point in Latin. All right. Ooh. What was it? Mellivora catensis. What?
I feel like if I say it to you, I'm going to give it away.
I can't hear curse.
Capensis.
Yeah.
Well
sorry,
done.
I didn't hear curse.
No, that's fine. We'll help you, Byron. We'll help you. We're a team after all.
Come on. What
How did you write?
Mellivora capensis.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Either
the same.
we win or we go down together.
Yeah. Mellivora capensis. And we are correct. And where is the honey badger's skull?
Well, not behind me.
Extra point. Can you update?
Fergus has been here a lot, so he knows the honey badger's skull. Let me see if I can find the honey badger's skull.
I'm going to vote for this one.
I think it's this one too.
I don't know.
Oh, now Ferg turns out has no idea. So I think we might...
we're right. I'm sure James is... Oh,
Chris doesn't know either. Where's James where we need him?
This looks like a... I don't know. Is that a honey badger skull? Do any of you know?
I think we might need to get some help from the internet.
Send your tweets to hashtag Safari Live. Is this the honey badger skull? I think it is, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to ask those of you who have seen James in here. I'm sure he's pointed it out a few times. Fergs, I thought you knew.
Yeah, Ferg definitely tricked us. We assumed that he knew which one it was, but I think it would either be that one or what about that top one there? No. No.
Anyway, we learn as we go. I do apologize, Ellie, that you broke... you didn't break a rule. I broke a rule. We were touching stuff in James's tent. So I do apologize, James.
It's from James.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'll clean it for you, James.
James's spirit is here. Not that we're terrified or anything whatsoever.
Not at all. Not at all. Now, let's give a quick weather update, shall we? Let's just have a look.
Let's go.
It's tough for... Excuse me, Fergs. Let me run out here.
That was a serval skull.
No, that was a serval skull,
a bit
apparently.
kitty.
Just having a look now,
What do you think?
because I know it's tough when Tristan's driving around. He's got the roof on. It's still a slight drizzle, nothing too serious, but it's got a lot darker than earlier. We had that beautiful light, but if you look,
It's
especially
gone now.
over this side, there's still some serious cloud cover, and this rain is not going anywhere for the moment,
Pretty much all over us.
which is not bad.
I didn't get all of it.
So Caitlin asked, when it rains as hard as this, or during the night it rained really hard, do we get to sleep as much? I woke up once or twice when the rain got really hard because of our
the tin
wonderful
roofs.
tin roofs. But it wasn't too bad.
I think also, Caitlin, because we were so cold yesterday, after dinner, everybody was just completely tired. So we
Yes.
all went to bed, and that helps with the sleeping. So we all just pretty much passed out in our rooms. So.
Everybody disappeared very, very early after dinner. I prefer sleeping in the rain. It's a lot cooler. It's much, much better. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I
me
enjoyed
too.
it. I love the rain. All right. Let's see how Trist is enjoying the rain. Is he wet? Has he found a leopard? What's going on, Tristan?
It's not really raining. It's kind of a few little drops here. Yes, I know. I'm sorry. Quiet down. Just set off the local bird population. Oopsie. But it's not really raining. So I mean, there's a few drops here and there, but it's not really wet. I wouldn't call it wet, put it that way. And no leopard, unfortunately. No tracks for a leopard. We're on Mamba now. So I'm just slowly going to go on Mamba. Now, I actually want to show you guys something because yesterday I was doing some signal testing in some of the cars and I had to drive Mamba to do it. And I came across a herd of elephants who were in the process of being about as naughty as Daryl the elephant is. And I'll show you why I say that fairly shortly, because I found them on Mamba Road and I thought at first, oh, nice to see some ellies, always good when driving around to see some things. And then I kind of got to the road and I was like, these elephants are not good at all. And basically what the ellies did is they got onto this road and they decided for some odd reason that they wanted to dig on this road. And so they've dug a massive hole right slap bang in the middle. I hope that maybe with the rain it's kind of flooded it and filled it a little bit, but it is a huge hole that they've dug. So I'll have to kind of get a little bit closer to it. It's just over the top here where the pipes are. I don't know if any of you remember when they had pipes on this road that were being pulled up by the elephants constantly, but that's exactly where they were. And maybe it's because of those pipes they were looking for more pipe to pull up and play with. But you can see here, just like this termite mound, that there is a disturbance on the road itself. Now the hole that they dug was quite serious in some places, so it's actually filled in quite nicely, which is good. But that is from elephants. That is what they've done to the road. They've literally mangled it. And it's interesting because this road, you can imagine, is very hard. After many cars have driven on it, sun's baked it, it gets like this cap on it. And so for an elephant to dig down underneath that is pretty amazing to me. Now the deep hole is the one furthest away from us. You can actually see it's full with water at the moment. So it's that one over there. That is a massive well. And if you drive into that now and not knowing what you're doing, your whole wheel is going to get stuck inside there. So pretty dangerous thing for elephants to have done, and we'll have to try and kind of get a fixing. And in fact there's an elephant right there. Talking about elephants, they obviously know I was talking about them and they've kind of just meandered over the road. So let's try and catch up with them. Child of the universe, you say it's like the elephants are making tracks for us to be able to meander about on? Well, yes, I suppose it is a little bit like that, isn't it? Although they're destroying the ones that we already have created, the nice, smooth, lovely tracks, they are now making into big bumpy holes. And there goes one ellie across the road. I think that's the last of the grouping. There's only two that I saw. They don't look like the most relaxed elephants. Yes, why have you got your head up raised at me? So again, not a very relaxed demeanor at all. When they lift their head like that and raise their sort of chin and open their ears, it's trying to kind of say to you, that's far enough, don't go any further. What you can also see is that that elephant is as dark as it gets. It is completely soaked, and that skin is actually absorbing a lot of that moisture, and that's why they get so dark like that. But there looks to be only two of them that I can see, a female and maybe her young one. I don't see any more on my left side, my right side, heading towards us like these guys have, but they're disappearing already into this thicket. That's one thing with the rain, is that it's getting to a situation. Hold on, I think if we go around this bush we might still be able to see them. It's one thing with the rain, is it's about to get insanely thick and viewing of animals is going to become a lot harder. The grass is going to get very long, and so we're going to find that our leopards and some of our cats are going to just disappear in these thickets. You can see a little bit of movement there, and that's a whole elephant that's busy disappearing behind some foliage and branches and trees and all kinds of other things. Amazing though. It's amazing how such a big animal can blend in so well. Right. Hang on, Ellie's disappeared. Let's carry on. There's some impalas in front that are busy having a little drink by the looks of things on the road. So you'll find this is the other thing now, is that finding of animals is going to be so much harder because, you know, when it's dry, animals have to go to water, and so that makes it easy for us. We can just go and check water points, and animals invariably have either been there and left some sort of sign in the form of tracks, or are going in that direction, or are there themselves. Now, with water on roads like this, you're going to find many of the animals will be drinking on places like that and will not be going towards water holes at all. And so places like Twin Dams, Treehouse, those are going to become pretty much sort of obsolete in terms of our viewing experience for the next couple of weeks if it continues to rain the way it is. The good news is, though, that when we were at Twin Dams, the dam is looking very full. We can't drive on the dam walls, though, so we couldn't really get you a nice view of it, but it is looking nice and full, and I would imagine Treehouse is looking good, and Gowrie Dam definitely has water. So if you look on the dam cam, Gowrie Dam is filled up quite nicely. Still don't think there's enough water in Gowrie Dam to last the winter, but hopefully the rain continues and we'll see some more in the future, and that the dam will be fuller as we go forward. Now these two, I think, can't decide whether they want to drink or whether they want to fight with one another in the rutting. You can see they're kind of dropping their heads every now and then. There's a little bit of gesturing and lip smacking and head tilting, but there is a puddle between the two of you. Maybe that's how mom stops them from fighting. It's just, oh, there's a Nyala as well. Hello, Nyala. There's a nice difference between impalas and Nyalas, and a little jumpy baby as well. Very cool to see. Seems like everything is just in this little spot. Oh, look at that tiny baby. That's very small. Hello, little one. They are beautiful animals, though, both of them, impalas and Nyalas. We have some spectacular antelope in this country. We get very, very pretty markings on them, and they all look quite exotic, so I thoroughly enjoy most of our antelope. But the boys have stopped their game now. Water has been had, and now it's back off to go and feed. The nice thing for a lot of the animals as well today is that they won't even have to go to water points. Things like Steenbok and Duiker will get all their moisture just feed off the grass and get the water content that they need from there. Right, now I'm going to send you back across to those two hooligans in the tent for one last time, because I believe Ali's going to come join me out and about on a vehicle. But let's go see what they're doing, and I'm pretty sure more laughs will ensue.
Again, with hooligans, Tristan. No, we're not hooligans. We're actually being very well behaved, I think.
We're even doing Latin stuff.
Exactly.
I think we are not hooligans, definitely.
Not at all, not at all. All right, so maybe last one, and then I think, Ali, you said you want to try head out?
Yeah.
Let's see.
It almost sounded, Byron and I could hear faintly lions in the distance, so perhaps if the weather is not that bad, we might be able to follow up on those lions from yesterday, because I was just saying this morning I heard them roaring just as we closed down, and it sounded it was coming from that area where we were looking for them yesterday, so I'm sure they were just hiding in the rain. So maybe today we'll be lucky. Now,
I hope so. All right.
we're ready for our last word.
Last one from Cindy. Latin name. Let's see. Oh, okay. Bird of prey.
No clue.
What is it again?
Polymatus?
Polymatus. Helicoitus.
Bellicosus.
See, we're struggling to hear Kos say. Okay, that's a tough one. Kos said she'll give us a clue. It's a bird of prey, so that's very difficult.
Should we just... I'm just gonna go. I have no clue for this one. This one, maybe, perhaps?
I think I'm right. There we go. Now the eagle. I'm right, yes.
Well done, Byron. Well done.
Clearly you're a doctor in right scripts.
What was it? Martial eagle. Is it? Oh, that's exactly what I wrote.
Oh, God.
Oh, dear.
Can you say it again, Kurs? Because this is not, our everyday language.
Okay. Okay, let's try write the Latin word, yeah?
I'm going on a limp here. I'm sure this time I would have gotten another one of them wrong. But anyway. I feel like there's probably like a Y somewhere in there.
It's tough to hear. Polymatus bellicosus.
Woo!
I'm right.
What did you write?
Yes, I got one back.
Well done.
Well done, Ellie. Thank you very, very much.
Well, thank you for playing Fun with Latin.
Fun with Latin with Ellie and Byron.
We're going for the big time, guys. You're going to get a network.
Yeah,
we
I think
will.
so,
We will have
yeah.
about maybe 2 subscribers on our show if we ever went live with Fun with Latin.
Learnus duos. That's the Latin for learning with
I believe
Ellie
you.
and Byron.
Whatever you want to say, I'll believe you. Right.
No, there's been
Well, Byron, it's
All
been
right.
wonderful. So I'm going to head out.
great.
Hopefully I won't have to come back
Yeah,
because I
thank
don't want
you,
to get
Ellie.
wet again.
Good luck. I hope the rain holds off, and I hope you have luck with the lions. I'm going to hang around here and see what else we can find.
Perfect.
Enjoy. Let's go back to Tristan. At least he won't be out there alone for much longer.
Woohoo.
Well, hopefully not, Byron. But I'm sure you two have had fun in the tent, and I'll stop calling you hooligans. I'm very sorry, Byron. That was my sincere apology to Byron. But we stopped here because there was a squirrel that was making lots and lots of noise, and it was alarm calling, but now it's stopped. So there it is, sitting on top of its... Oh, don't run away now. And it'll shake the water off. Got to groom one's back leg. So from alarm calling to grooming of back legs, and oh, have you got water on your face, little one? Shame. I think it's trying to get rid of all the water. Now it's just getting its tail in good condition. You look spiffy, don't worry. You look ready to go to work. It's a bit of a jumpy squirrel, isn't it? It's cleaning itself as though it'll never be able to clean itself again, and it needs to do it right now. And you can see why we say squirrel syndrome, because they just kind of bounce around all over the place. One minute they're doing scratching work. Are you going to go to the toilet? I think it just urinated. You know that. Anyway, there it goes down into the grass. If you weren't wet before, you are going to be very wet now, little squirrel. And off it goes through. Well done, Vildi. Following a squirrel in long green grass is not the easiest thing. Very good. Well done. Right. Let's see why. Maybe the squirrel was alarm calling for a bird or a snake, little slithery snake. And VM told me that Byron and VM that they saw a black mamba last night, which was very, very cool. So it seems as though the mambas have actually been fairly sort of commonplace the last few sort of weeks and months. Alyssa, you want to know what my favorite reptile is in the bush? I'm not quite sure, actually. There's a few that I like. Funny enough, I think I would go with... Ooh, I'm torn. I'm torn between crocodiles, because I find them fascinating. I find crocodiles absolutely amazing creatures in that they are able to do what they do, survive for as long as they've survived, and just how they go about things, and the specialities that they have in their body in order to do what they do. So I really have a lot of respect for them, and I think they command a lot of respect given the way they go about their business. They are incredibly intelligent animals, and I love kind of watching them and studying how they do things. So crocodiles are, from a respect point of view, they're not exactly pretty animals, as we know. So from that point of view, in terms of the other one that I always like seeing, I know it's going to sound really odd, but seeing these massive pythons is always incredible. I find them pretty fascinating too, and also I suppose because of how rare they've become, big pythons are just something we don't really see anymore, and it's because they're feared, and you know, big snakes that are 5 meters 6 meters long are feared by a lot of people, and so they inevitably get killed a lot more than they should. And you know, a snake of 5 meters is a very, very old snake. That snake could be easily 50 years old, and so you know, killing snakes like that is really not a good thing at all, and a number of big pythons unfortunately have been killed because people are fearful of them. So I think those two would be mine. VM, yours? Gecko. Oh, gecko is a good one. I do like a gecko too, and geckos are very cool. Well done, Voldy. I think that's a very good call. I think a gecko is a fine idea. Now these impalas look very nervous. They don't look as though they are relaxed at all. You can see they're a bit boundy, but sort of watchful. I suppose it is conditions that make every animal on edge, given that it's been raining all night. It's probably, you know, water drops from the trees, which makes a lot of noise. and it's gloomy, so it's just not easy to see. This rain would have deadened the scent, as we were talking about earlier, of a lot of these animals, and so, I suppose that's why they're a little bit more jumpy than they normally would be. Right. Vombogel, the rut season for these impalas is about to begin. So we are going to go into it in April. You start to see it at the end of March, but April and May and June, those 3 months are absolute chaos when it comes to rutting. They're going to chase each other around all over the place. They're going to make lots of gargling and gurgling and splattering and snorting noises that sound like death is coming swiftly towards your doorstep, but it is just a little innocent impala chasing another innocent impala around. So it always makes me laugh when we used to get guests out here when I was guiding, and it was always first time guests and they came during the rut. They would absolutely be petrified the first time they heard impalas rutting, and it was always funny because you used to do your first afternoon drive, and sometimes you wouldn't see impalas until you stopped for drinks, and then you would stop for your sundowner, and all of a sudden this gargling, splattering, growling, horrible sound would emanate from very close by, because generally you stop where there's a nice view and an open section, and the impalas start coming out there, in the course of the night, and these people would just go white with fear and kind of immediately ask, "Is that a lion?" And you would have to then explain to them, "No, it's not a lion. It is in fact just a harmless antelope that doesn't want to do anything to you." Oh, hello. There's some more Ellies, though. Very pregnant female by the looks of things, although she's still suckling a rather old calf, which is strange. That calf must be easily 6-7 years old. Why are you suckling, little calf? You are far too large to be suckling. Interesting. I wonder if it's maybe because she's so heavily pregnant, maybe she's starting to produce, and that's why this little one is getting. You can see it's already got quite big tusks. Now they're coming up the road and they want to probably use the road, so I'm going to just get out of their way quickly and let them come past. Sorry guys, hold on, let me just move out your way. I will move shortly. Just give me 2 seconds. There we go. There we go. Sorry girl, I'm out your way now. Oh, there's also a very cool bird up in the tree there that we will get to just now. But there we go. There's enough space there, VM, for them. Yes, there should be enough space for her to get past. But little one wants to drink first. It's decided I am not ready for my pilgrimage just yet. Oh, our bird flew away, but there was a ground hornbill that was also around. So, Kirsty, you are commenting on the very white toenails. So, yes, the elephants will have white toenails, every single one of them. And the reason why their toenails are going to be so white is because they've got the same thing as what we get if we spend too much time in the bath, is that their feet get so wet that they almost get dead man's foot, if you want to call it that, as opposed to our dead man's finger, which is when our fingers go all wrinkly from an oversupply of moisture, and then it's the same thing with the ellies. So it actually makes their toes go very, very white from walking around in the grass. Hello, girl. You are a beautiful individual and so relaxed too. Well done. Very calm with your little one. It's amazing sometimes. You can see with ellies, if you actually just get out of their way and you stay nice and quiet, and there's a lot of people in the world that would think that we are absolutely mad for sitting the way we sat there and just kind of pulling off. But when you are away, you allow ellies just to do their thing and you're not aggressive towards them anyway, they can actually be the most gentle of creatures. Right. That was very cool. We're going to carry on. I'll try and see if I can find that ground hornbill again that flew away. But while we look for that, let's send you back across to Byron, who must feel like he's back in school being punished with all kinds of questions in Latin.
A little bit, Tristan. But we are also doing some game viewing right outside the tent. And we've got a young Inyala and a female just wandering past. They are one of my favorite antelopes, always so relaxed. And she just saw us and completely comfortable with us being around here. Very peaceful, very, very peaceful antelope. I saw a wildebeest on the clearings through the back, just moving past. I'm sure there's a few wildebeest out there at the moment, especially in weather like this. Now, I suppose, seeing as we've been on scientific names, the scientific name for the Inyala is Trigelaphus angusea. Angusii, and but part of that Trigelaphus or Tragelaphus, again, the pronunciation depending on how you pronounce it. Tragelaphus genus, along with the kudu, the sitatunga, and the bushbuck. We spoke about it yesterday. We did have a question about the bongo, and the bongo is in fact part of that Tragelaphus family. And I actually want to show you a picture of one quickly. So let's go back to the tent. I've got my mammal book of Africa here.
That we heard, because when Byron and I were at the tent, we could hear a faint, almost like contact calling, because it wasn't roaring. So I'm gonna go to the area where we roughly agreed that we thought the sound was coming from, although with this condition sometimes things can be a little bit tricky and just head onto the wrong part thinking that we are going onto the right one. But I'm gonna check anyway, just to see if perhaps we get lucky and see any lions this morning. That would be probably a prize winning, considering that we got probably soaked yesterday trying to find them, and I have no doubt that they were in there. But anyway, hopefully we'll get lucky. Who knows, maybe we'll bump into somebody else on the way. That would also be quite nice if we could find anyone. It is looking a little gloomy now. Anna Marie, you're wondering if there are any anacondas found in South Africa or also in or only in South America. Now, as far as I know, anacondas are only in the rainforest or in the Amazon rainforest and other wet parts of the South American continent. However, we get similar snake species around this area, which would have to be the pythons. Pythons and anacondas are roughly, I would say in very broad terms, fairly similar. Just the anacondas, I think, are more water dwelling than what the pythons really are, or at least the rock pythons that we get here in South Africa. But that's, if I saw an anaconda here, I would get very worried. Now, I have seen anacondas in South America and they can get very big. Probably not as big as the movie Anaconda, because that was a terrifying, or the biggest anaconda. I had nightmares as a kid when I saw that movie. But they can get very big. I actually know, so my uncle, I remember he was telling me a story, and this was many years ago. He had many dogs, and he went onto a farm. Now, I don't remember exactly where the farm was, but I think it was towards the central part of Venezuela, which is the country that I was born and grew up in. And he went onto this farm, and then I think he went somewhere into the farm that obviously had a lot of pans and dams and so on. And he had a dog, you know, medium-sized dog, probably as big as a Labrador. Whoop! I just got attacked by a spider web that almost went into my mouth. Ugh.
Behind your neck now.
It's behind me.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it the spider?
Yeah.
Okay, hello. I don't know what spider it is, but hopefully we can get it out. Oh, you are quite an interesting one. I don't think I've ever seen the spider before. Maybe Byron can help us, because it's almost got, like, you see a little thing sticking up on it. Interesting. No, don't go. Just hold still so Byron can look at you. I don't know, it almost looks like a rhinoceros spider. Knowing South Africans, that would probably be the name that the spider has. And now I've lost it. Have you gone down my jacket? Nope. Okay, well, I don't know where it's gone off to. I think it is down my jacket. Okay, come. Out. Off you go. Spiders don't live in people's jackets. Woo. Okay, well, this is quite a tricky spider. There we go. It's now on the dashboard finally and not on my jacket anymore. And it's decided it doesn't want to be on TV. I hope that was enough for Byron to get a glimpse. That's quite an interesting one if he does manage to help us identify it. I've never seen that one before. So it almost seems like a type of jumping spider, but I'm not sure. Oh, and he has to find the Latin name. Ooh, sorry, Byron. That's a double challenge there. That's not going to be an easy one. So just to wrap up on this story about this dog, so he went into an area, and imagine it was rainy like this, and there are it's almost like a marshy area. So there are a lot of places where dogs go and swim, and then they go here, and then they go there. And normally in South America, or at least in these parts, we're not too afraid of going into the water. Yes, there are anacondas there, or they can be, but they tend to really not bother humans all that much. So he went for a walk or whatever, and he couldn't find this dog, and I think the dog had one of those telemetry radios. Couldn't find it, called it for hours. The dog didn't come back, so they decided to leave because they had to go back, because this was during the weekend. And as the following weekend, they decided to go back to this place just to go and look for the dog, but they came with all the telemetry equipment to try and see where the dog had been, because I don't remember what breed it was, but I seem to remember that it was quite an expensive breed of dog for whatever reason. So they eventually start following, they pick up the signal of the color and they go and they approach it and they see that there's nothing around them, only a water hole or a marshy spot where there's some water. So obviously things were not boding well already when you see that going on. And then they come across, and then as they go into the water hole, they found this massive anaconda that had actually eaten the dog, entire dog. So they fortunately killed the anaconda, which is not the greatest part of the story. But when they took it out, the full dog, and I'm talking about, a Labrador-sized dog, a very big dog, had been swallowed entire by the anaconda. I think that was probably one of my scariest memories from when I was a kid, just remembering that they could, I was the size of a dog, they could have eaten me, which was crazy. Now, I'll go to Tristan, and I believe he's with a creature that anacondas, or likely pythons in this part of the world, like to eat too.
Exactly. An anaconda would have to travel quite some time to find an impala in their side of the world. And actually, Viam and I he was just telling me about a story and something he read about an anaconda eating a mountain lion recently, which is pretty insane when you think about it. So amazing that snakes can grab something like that. But we are with a rather common sight in Kruger. In fact, if you had to think of Kruger when I was a kid, this is what I would have thought of, is impalas in the road wiggling their little white tails. They are a very big part of our ecosystem here, and often they go unnoticed and often overlooked by many people. And here we often talk about them, but I know a lot of people really kind of just dismiss impalas as common antelope and that they don't really have any value to what's going on. But it's a bit of a lie. And can you imagine if there was no impalas left, if they became a rare antelope, how people would want to see them just because of what they look like? They are very pretty animals. They've got these amazing markings on them, and so it's a bit of a pity that people do look at them in that way. Now, what we've got is basically just a mixed group. It's males, females, young ones, they're all kind of together. I would imagine that these have come from some sort of an open clearing, and it's now time to start looking for food. You can see that because of the rain, there'll be a massive increase in the number of flies and mosquitoes and insects in general, and you can see that by the tails. Just look at how every single one of their tails are waggling around, and that's because of all the flies that are out. And we've had many land on me already this morning, and so it's going to be commonplace for the animals to be absolutely irritated by insects over the course of the next few weeks and months. So going to be good that they've got food, but there will be irritations that these little ones probably haven't really experienced until now. But very cool to see, and you'll find the little ones will be very active this morning. They're going to be bouncing around all over the place. Rain makes young animals very playful, and so I wonder if we get, there you go, exactly like that. How cool is that? It's got a little freestyle kick and run, so some of them are a little bit more artistic than others. I wonder if Byron can do a same jump like that impala can. He seems like an athletic fella. He was telling me about how he's been playing rugby over the weekend, so maybe he can show us just how he does his little sidestep and run from his rugby days and whether or not he's good at it. Says to me that he is. He tells me that he's got a great sidestep on him. Unga, you want to know what is the difference between an impala and a springbok? Well, I think for that we're going to have to get a picture of a springbok for you, but give me 2 seconds because I don't have any of my books. When it's raining like this, I don't bring my books out for fairly obvious reasons. So I'm going to try and find you a springbok quickly. Hopefully it's not going to bring up our rugby logo because the rugby team is still in the bad books, even though it was a while ago. Right, here we go. So let's see if we can... Hold on, I'm going to try and see. There we go. That's going to be better. So I've hopefully got this right. There we go. Okay, that's going to be better to show you. So you saw with the impalas up in front there that they were a little bit different. This is a springbok. So what you see with the springbok is a very different shaped horn. They've got these kind of horns that bend in and curl towards each other. They've got this white face. And then if you look on the body, the most distinguishing factor is this black line that runs through the side of their body with a very white tummy and then this white big fluffy tail. Now that white fluffy tail, when they are pronking, because they pronk, stotting. when they stot, because they pronk, that's right, they do pronk, sorry. So anyway, when they're doing that, they display the white tail, which then shows off to the others and do their thing. So I'll try and find a picture of their white tail, whereas if you look at the impalas in the background, you'll notice no black line across the flank of their body. They also don't have as white a stomach area and no white face with a proper long tail. They don't just have a fluffy kind of ball of white on the back. And also their horns on the males, when we see the males, you'll find they have a very different shape horn structure as well. So look quite different when you see them side by side, but can be a bit confusing if you haven't seen one or the other. It's a little tougher to see, but hopefully that helps you and you'll be able to know how to do it in the future and ID the two of them. Good. I think we're going to carry on. We're going to see if maybe there is some sign of Tundi somewhere here. We've been stopping at all these antelope just in case some of them alarm called, but there's been nothing. It's been very quiet this morning. No lions roaring, no alarm calls anywhere. But we're going to carry on, and hopefully Brainiac Byron will be able to entertain you with his knowledge and bursting amounts of skill that come out between his ears.
Well, I'm trying my best. Now, Ellie had that beautiful little spider. I caught a glimpse of it. I'm not sure. I wish I had a better look of it, though. Or look at it, rather. But it looked like it might be a little bark spider. Now, the only reason I say that is because I know the bark spiders, and if you have a look, they do get these beautiful protrusions on the back often, and the reason for that is so that they blend in very well to a tree. So they may look like they have got a thorn or some protrusion on the back, looks like part of a tree, a thorn tree perhaps. And I think that's maybe, I'm not sure, I think that's maybe what Ali saw was possibly a bark spider. They fascinating little spiders. I love the bark spiders because they're mainly nocturnal. You will see them during the day, but what happens is at night they spin beautiful webs very quickly. I once sat with guests. We watched them spin it. We watched a single spider spin a web in about half an hour, 40 minutes. It spun an entire web right across the road. And this spider would go up and down and in circles. It was amazing to see. Then what happens is the spider sits and waits, obviously, for insects to fly into the web, goes and eats. And then during the day, what happens is it eats the web again, because all that webbing is made up of protein and doesn't want to lose that protein. So it eats part of the web again, then climbs back up, goes onto the branch where the web started from, and it will sit and hide there and blend into the tree, hide its legs and sit and sleep and rest during the day. And then at night, the same process. So I hope, I'm not sure, but I hope I'm right. I hope it was a form, one of the bark spiders. I'm not sure. Elia, now, I don't think those bark spiders are venomous to us or can cause any harm. They do have venom. Now, the spiders, usually the venom, they inject the venom into their prey, and what that does is those enzymes break down the body of the prey that they've caught and killed, and then the spider is able to actually drink the prey. They drink their food. So all those enzymes, the venom that they inject into their prey, breaks it all down, and that's how they feed. So yes, I'm sure that bark spider has got venom, and that is how it eats, but it's harmless to us. Just like those beautiful big golden orb web spiders we see. I know a lot of people are quite frightened of them because they are really beautiful, but very big and scary. And those are harmless to us too. So a lot of the bigger spiders and the scary looking spiders aren't that bad. It's those little ones, those little brown ones that we've got to watch out for. Now, I wonder if Ali's had any luck with those lions. I'm sure we heard them calling in the distance, but it may even have been beyond our boundary. I'm not sure. So let's go across to Ali now and find out how her lion search is going.
Well, it seems like no luck for now. I am doing the southern boundary, not the southern one, sorry, the eastern boundary, and I cannot really find anything around here. What it does seem is that the rain has washed away a lot of the roads, and it'll be a little bit hard to travel along certain roads, just because if we do travel them now, even though the rain has already damaged them, we're going to damage them even more, and perhaps even get stuck and just create an unnecessary drama for ourselves. So there are certain areas that I'm avoiding, just also because of the type of soil. Now this particular road, it's all sandy soil, and the water would have filtrated and gone underground quite easily, more than some other types of soil that we get towards the central parts of Djuma that are more clay soil. So you can imagine it becomes like a bog almost, with all that water nestled in there. Now we haven't had any luck with the lions here. We did stop for a little while to try and listen out, but it seems like maybe they've gone to sleep, maybe they're just not keen on calling anymore, but we're still keeping an eye out, and we've got a plan for the morning, so hopefully they'll perform for us today. And if not, well, you know, it's always worth searching for them. So I'm gonna go on the big cat hunt while Tristan is on the Tandy hunt, and then while poor Byron is stuck with the Latin hunt. Now that was an interesting little spider. I've never seen a spider with that shape, so it's one of the good things about the rain. It brings all the creepy crawlies out and about. So we had the praying mantis this morning, we had the alates, the spider. It's very nice. G-Loop, you're wondering if we have any problems with mosquitoes or flies on the drives. Well, normally not when we're driving. So when we're driving is fine because the wind just takes everyone away, but when you stop, that's when we tend to get attacked. Now, I don't get bitten by mosquitoes all that much. I think I'm one of the lucky ones, but the flies can be annoying, especially if you're in a place where animals have recently defecated. Then you can imagine that there are flies everywhere. Oh, seems like Tristan managed to find somebody that's calling this morning, so let's go have a look.
Indeed we have. Just listen to this. So again, you hear this female ground hornbill is calling, and I think it's the same ground hornbill that we keep seeing by itself, and that's probably why it's calling like this. How cool is that? So Linda, you say that's such a cool sound. Well, especially in conditions like this, it's kind of an eerie sound, isn't it? It matches the weather a little bit, but I really like it. It's this hollow kind of deep sound, and it's because of that beak that they can make such a big sound like that. But shame, she's obviously trying to look for a mate. I wonder if this is what's happened, is she's distributed out. What you find is that young birds often distribute out of a flock, and maybe she's now trying to call a mate, and there's no other ground hornbills that's with her at the moment. And that's why she's constantly calling like this, in order to try and find a male to have, well, to have little eggs with and to have chicks. It's good though if she is calling and she is looking for a male, because that means that hopefully she's going to produce eggs, and we need all breeding ground hornbills we can possibly get. Right, now, there we go. The reason why we know she's a female is if you look underneath her beak, you can see that there's a very purpley colored patch just underneath the beak. So you've got the red, and then you've got that purple patch underneath. So the females get that purple patch, whereas the males just have a plain red facial patch or bare skin around that area. So that's how we know she's a girl. Very cool though. David, you say it's kind of sad that she's alone. Well, this is how new flocks form, is that these things have to happen. Is birds have to distribute out and they have to go other places, and I can promise you if she keeps calling the way she's calling now, she will attract a male, and a male will come in and she might form a whole new flock altogether. So even though it seems sad she's alone and calling, she will attract the attention of a flock at some point. There is a whole flock that lives in this area, and so maybe a young male will come out somewhere and join her, and we can get some romance in the air at some point. Right, now while we kind of carry on, now that we've seen our beautiful ground hornbill, let's send you across to Ali, who's picked up a beautiful predator for the morning.
We have, but unfortunately it's decided now to head onto the wrong way, so let's just be patient. Maybe it'll go around and carry on coming here, but it's a beautiful spotted hyena. Now it was working its way down the road, and I wonder where it's headed off to now. It seems like a youngish hyena. Well, at least its ears are not that tattered, or from what I can see from here. So I don't know if anybody's going to be able to recognize it from this very quick look. But if you do know who this hyena is, or you know a little bit of her background, do let us know using the hashtag #SafariLive. Because I, for one, have been missing the fact that we don't have an active hyena den anymore. And it's always wonderful to go and spend time with them and just see their social structure and what they get up to. I think they're very clever creatures. But this one has now decided to veer off the road, and it has not come back onto it. So we're going to carry on down our path. Ooh. If I manage to get the car in gear and see if maybe we'll get a little bit of better luck. It's always nice. I haven't seen a hyena in a while, so it's good to see them and know that they still roam around these areas. Oh, now I think we have a bird of prey there. Senzo, I don't know if nope, it's flown away. Now it looked like something small, so perhaps something like, let me see if I can get the book. So it looked like something like a little goshawk, or perhaps even a shikra. Let's have a quick look so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. Now, every time I've driven down this road, I think roughly in that area I've been seeing the same one. So every time I look at it, it flies away very quickly. So I'm not too sure what it is just yet. But just judging from the way it was standing and from what I saw, because there was a lot of white, I'm wondering if perhaps it wasn't a black-shouldered kite. Now, it would be unusual, as I haven't seen them here before, but just going by size, I think it would be, because very, very prominent white breast, and you can see here when it sits down, that's all that you see, a very, very prominent breast, white breast. Whereas all of the other creatures, or the smaller birds that it could be, you see they all have stripes on their chest. So it would be tough to say who it was, but I think I'm going to put my money on that one. Pale chanting goshawk, way too big for that little bird that I saw. And then now we're heading on to bigger creatures. So, it would be interesting to see. And you see all of this one's the little sparrowhawk, and then shikras and little creatures, they all also have way too many stripes. So, I think maybe we're going to have to take my word for it that there was a lot of white, and then it was a black-shouldered kite. Very pretty. Little things that hurt. But has not come back to the tree, and maybe it's just gonna... Yes?
Can you move on?
Okay. Did you spot a leopard?
This bird you're talking about.
Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah, go.
Okay. Okay, it seems like Senso has managed to spot the bird. I have no idea where it is. There we go. There you are. Alright, now, definitely not a black-shouldered kite then. It would be wonderful if you turned around a little bit. Let me just pull out my binoculars. See what color your eye is, because I think we're looking at a black eye. Maybe something like a little sparrowhawk or a kabar goshawk even. Since I still don't know where you're looking at it. Let me see where you're pointing. My goodness, it is a real drama of birding. Not only do you have to try and figure out what they are, but you've got to try and see them.
See this tree? This front one.
Yeah.
And there's a termite mound.
Yes.
Yeah, that tree next to the termite mound.
Okay, the tree next to the termite mound.
No, not this one. Your third place.
This one?
This one.
Yeah.
No, the 4 o'clock one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with your great camera work because I'm not allowed to find it. Alright, so, it seems like you've got a red eye. Have you got a red eye? I'm tempted to say that this could be a shikra just because of that red eye. Chris says that it looks like a black eye. Now this is getting even more complicated. So let's have a look at the book and see what our different options are. Perhaps the barring of the tail will give it away for us. It's also something nice to look for when we're looking for smaller birds of prey. Now let's see what you've got. Lizard buzzard, could be, but we would be able to see a bit of your throat. Let's turn. I'm still sticking with Kabar goshawk. Can you just, because it seems to be about the right size from what we're. A shikra. Well, Byron thinks it's a shikra. That was my first thought. But then Kirsty says that she doesn't think that it's got a red eye, but a dark one. So I wish we could see it a little bit better. If it's got a dark eye, then I'm going to go with this one, just because it's also got the barring of the tail. But now let's check the shikra quickly. Byron says that definitely a red eye. Well, if it had a red eye, then we definitely need to go with shikra. And the shikra would be this one. Tricky with this light to try and see. So you see, birding, the light influences a lot what we can see and how we can identify birds. So you see the red-eyed here and more cherry red eye, and all of the barring in the chest. Now I think we're gonna let Byron win and probably say that it's a shikra, and if not, then we can make up our own birds, which is always wonderful. Shikra was also my very first instinct, so we always have to trust our gut feeling. It seems like Byron is smiling in the tent. I think he likes winning, so let's head over to him.
Not really, no, not really. But I just want to make sure we are correct. But having a look at that image that Senzo managed to get for us, I have to agree with Elliot, is a shikra. Not just, and I'll tell you why, what I'd like to show you here quickly, and it's a bit easier with this image. The other thing to look for, sorry, there we go, Ferg, is that better? That reddish eye, it had a slightly reddish eye. Sometimes it's not always that prominent, but what was prominent was that yellow sear on the beak. Do you have a look at that? That the yellow sear is that top part of the beak. So that, oh, sorry, there we go. That was very clear. So you can also look for those little signs. The other, the gabber goshawk, I'll show you quickly. But and let me just see if there's another picture of the eyes. That's a juvenile. But sometimes you just see that little orange ring of the eye, and not always the bright red coloration. But I do think it was a shikra, also because of that sear. So let me just show you an image quickly of the gabber goshawk, and why I say the gabber, I don't think that was a gabber. The gabber is a little bit bigger, and also it has that orange sear. You see that? And a very, very dark eye. I'm sure most of you agree with me. Sorry, folks, let me straighten. There we go. You see that? That is the gabber goshawk. I don't think it was the gabber. It looked like the shikra to me. If you have any ideas, don't forget to let us know, and we'll have a look. But I think it was a shikra. It is sometimes tough to gauge on the screen. And there are a few things I need to catch up with. Now, we had a question about the spiders. So Ali found that beautiful spider, and we were wondering what it was. I think it may have been a bark spider, but I'm not sure. It moved quite quickly, and we didn't get a good view. Then there was a question about tarantulas, and do we have any tarantulas? Vlad, you asked, do we have any tarantulas in Africa? So we have got a species of spider which are considered to be tarantula, and that is, of course, the baboon spiders. Now, let me show you. I have managed to Google baboon spiders already. Now, have a look at that. That is a beautiful, hairy baboon spider. Scientific name, Harpactera. There are a number of different species, though, but this is, I think, the common baboon spider. And they are considered to be Africa's tarantulas. Very hairy spider. You can have, I mean, if you look, all those hairs along there, very, very hairy, beautiful spiders. Now, how they got the name baboon spider, some of you might be wondering if you haven't heard before. But these two segments, and if I can point over here again, Ferg, sorry, these last two segments on the legs, that's a nice one over there. Those last two segments of the legs underneath appeared to look like the fingers of baboons. And that is where they get the name baboon spider. So those last two segments there underneath just look very similar to that of a baboon's fingers. And apparently that is the theory of how the baboon spider got its name. What else are we looking at? There was that. There was the hyena that Ellie managed to see. Crocutta. I knew that one. That is the spotted hyena. And obviously it's always nice and fun to see hyena. I do enjoy seeing hyena. Very interesting creatures. So this scientific name is crocutta. All right, sorry. I'm struggling to hear Kirst a little bit today. But we're going to head across to Tristan. I didn't hear what he has, but let's go and find out.
I have a rather large dam, Byron, more water, just to make it kind of tie in with the theme. But at least our Buffelshoek hippo has got a friend these days. So another hippo is in. It actually looks like it could even be a female and a young one. And then there are two little grebes that are floating about there, or dab chicks is what their old name was. They're also bouncing around in that area. And you can see Buffelshoek Dam is full. It's much fuller than what it was. If you look on the sort of right side there where the grass is, you can actually see the grass is flooded and is in the water. So whenever you see that, you know that it has risen quite a bit. So that's where the water has gone up and gotten a lot more in. And this dam always fills up the fastest out of all of them. Luckily also this particular dam is one that we can actually drive on the dam wall because it's got such a massive dam wall. It's not like the others. There's our little grebes that we were talking about, or dab chick is the old name, and there are two of them. There's the one that's pottering about on the surface, and then there's another one that's just popped up closer to the hippos, and you'll see that they dive quite a bit, so they kind of go along and then they dive down to go look for food. So there they are. Hello little ones. Very cool little birds. I quite like them. I think they're very cool. These must be the same two that were down at Twin Dams for quite a while, and this is a far better habitat for them than Twin Dams. There's at least a lot more water, a lot more space to go swimming around and finding the food that they need. Now, I thought I saw a squacko heron as well around. Now, some of you might not know what a squacko heron is. I'll try and quickly have a little look if I can see it again. It's good weather though for birds. We're going to see maybe some interesting birds coming out, particularly things like crakes. So you'll find black crakes come out, African crake, and if we were super lucky, we'd get maybe ballions or spotted crake, but those would be very rare. Right, now where did my squacko heron go? I think it's disappeared. It was on the right hand side and it flew as we came. Looks as though it's gone, unfortunately, and I don't have my binoculars with me because I don't want them to get wet. So I didn't bring them, but I can't see it. The squacko herons are quite light-colored, creamy white birds, and so we should be able to see it quite easily there. There's just a couple foam nest frogs nests that are there, and that's it. So thank you, Vildy. Vildy's giving me his binoculars so I can have a little quick look and see if I can spot this heron anywhere in the distance here. Let's quickly just get the focus right. So no, VM, I don't see it. I think it's flown away, unfortunately. It got a bit of a fright as we came around the corner, and so that's why it disappeared. But sometimes they fly up into the vegetation on the sort of banks. Oh, there it is. I've got it. VM, on the left-hand side of the branch sticking out of the water. And yes, straight in to your left a little bit to your left. More on the bank. There it is. So it is sitting on the bank itself. So there's our squacko heron, which is very cool to see. They're not that common for us here. We don't see them all that regularly because, well, it's also been very dry. Once we have water, then we see them a lot more and we'll kind of pick them up. So there it is, sitting out in the open for all of us, which is very cool. Now we'll find them often at water points like this. They like to go into where there's flooded sections. It's easy for them to go and hunt frogs and various other things. And so I would imagine that we'll see maybe a few more of them. We might also start to see a few of the bitterns coming out along the fringes of these water holes that are flooded. And we should maybe even see some of the herons coming in. So purple herons maybe, or Goliath herons at Chitwa Dam, if there's enough food sources for them. The squawko heron, though, is a cool bird because I'll try and get a picture of it because I know it's quite far away, but I quite like them. I think they've got cool colors on them, so just trying to find a picture for all of you. So basically, that's what we're looking at over there. It's a bird that gets this bright blue beak, which is very, very cool. It's like a kind of powder bright blue color with this yellow eye and then this creamy coloration with a few little stripes and then a very white wing. They often get confused with egrets, cattle egrets in flight because of how white they are. And you can see them kind of flying along there. I'm sure I've got one of them sitting. Yes, there's sitting over there. So very pretty little heron, and you see them quite, like I say, quite commonly, especially in the Kruger. You see a lot of them that side. Very, very nice. Thank you, VM, for your binoculars. Without them, we would not have seen the squawko heron. Very good. Right, now I'm going to carry on, see if I can find anything else. I mean, I don't really know where else to go and look. I think I'm just going to bumble about and go and maybe check some other water points. Maybe we'll head towards the treehouse side. And while we do that, let's send you across to Ali, who's doing exactly what I'm doing and bumbling about.
Well, exactly. Bumbling about seems about right in this weather conditions, just because we're also quite limited in our options. Not too sure where the animals could have gone. We haven't really seen much. After we saw that chikra, everything else has been fairly quiet. So I imagine the birds are also very, very wet. There was a cocky francolin calling in the distance, but too far in the distance, so we couldn't really see it. Now I'm going down to Takatlan, and I am hoping that maybe perhaps Tandi has decided to come a little bit onto this side of the road, and that would be great. Otherwise, I think I'm going to head on to Chitwa, see what's happening around there. Because I think between Tristan and I will manage to cover all of Djuma fairly quickly. But it's good. It's almost like a great, just getting to know a whole new place. And it's quite interesting because all the roads have been wiped down. And only now can we see some of the tracks because the sand is still soft. But later on today, if the sun shines, then I reckon we're going to have a little bit more of trouble trying to find anything. Now, let's have a look at what we're looking at these tracks here, because it's the only tracks that we can see out in the road. And it's human tracks, funny enough. So I would imagine that Tristan and lion tracks too. Odd lion tracks here on the side of the road, and then more human tracks. So let me just go further down the road because the lion tracks are old. I wonder if perhaps Tristan has been walking down here, and now we've got some more running creatures. It seems like zebras have been running around here. That's actually what it looks like instead of a human track. Now I'm making drama for nothing. Now the general shape is this one. Let me just show you guys and why I think it's this particular one. Whew. This one. Is this one good for you? This one? So it's very hard to tell with the sand and the condition that the sand is in now, but we've got this very particular shape, which already gives us an indication as to what it is. And in some of them, you can even see this little triangle that is at the back of the zebra track. So that's the easiest way to tell a zebra track. And I think Tristan was. So it could be that this is where those guys came from, and then they were just running down the road. I think that is probably what our mystery tracks are. And perhaps Tristan saw them earlier on and also jumped down to have a look. Maybe that's exactly what happened. Now, they carry on down the road, and we already saw those zebras. So I'm going to pass by, and then we're going to stop for good leopard tracks, fresh leopard tracks or lion tracks. That would be ideal. Now you see, here are lion tracks again, going up the road. Just have a look. It's getting a little bit puzzling. So maybe Tristan should have a closer look all the way in Buffelshoek Dam. So they're older, And you can see one here, one toe here, and then one other toes here, and then going down the road. So it's quite interesting. But also something else that's caught my eye is another massive creature that's roaming around here. Since I think you'll be able to get it. Look how big this millipede is. It's almost the size of my foot. This is by far the biggest one I have ever seen. Woo, you are big. Are you heading into the vegetation now? Well, I wouldn't be walking around here if I were you. Huh. Very, very interesting. It is definitely one of the biggest ones that I've seen, and unlike the centipede, this one is a lot friendlier and will feed on vegetation. Now, it seems like there are a few things happening here, and also, pretty little flower. I'm just going to try and put it this way so that it faces the camera. This little one, it's been quite common all around Djuma. I've actually seen it a lot, and scientific name, Byron, you can try and help us find this one. I do know it's a camelina, and that's the common name, or one of the common names is blue camelina. But also, and I have no idea why, it's also called the wandering Jew. Very, very unlikely name. Not too sure where it came from, but it seems like many things were happening in there. Oh, all right. Let's carry on and see what, bless you, what else has been happening down this road. I know could be perhaps that the lions came here and that's where we saw them roaring. So I know Tristan is in Buffelshoek Dam, so very likely he can have a look around that area. Jimmy, you're wondering if the millipedes are poisonous. Yes, they are. They are covered, or their shell, the exoskeleton, is covered in a substance that's called cyanide. So it's one of the reasons why not too many animals can actually feed off of them, because of this protective poison that is on top of them. However, certain animals like the civet seem to eat millipedes, and really they are not bothered by the poison. They seem to be immune to it. But when you see baboons eating them, also you'll see that they'll go and scrub them against the rocks just to get this layer off, and then they'll eat them. Ooh. There we go. Alright, Byron, here's your challenge. Latin name for millipede. Off we go to Byron, see what he says.
Oh no, Ellie, you're throwing me off. You asked for the Latin name of a blue camelina. That's camelina communis. Camelina communis, the blue camelina Asiatic dayflower. That's also what it's known as. Beautiful blue camelina. I do enjoy seeing them. I saw a few yesterday. But I'll quickly look for the millipede and see if we can get a scientific name. Diplopoda. Okay, oh, that's a class. That's let's see if there's anything. Millipedes, arthropods. Millipedes, legs, bones. Lacme plenipes. We're down here. Latin for 1,000 feet. Record of 750. Lacme plenipes is a species. I think they're different species of millipedes. You know, a lot of L's there. Lacme plenipes. All right, but I've got a lot to speak about, actually, because